that I love about your style and that your subscribers love about your style is it's very obvious that you're having a lot of fun. And this can be like a very toxic industry at time where people are betting money that they shouldn't be doing with confidence that just isn't appropriate.
Oh yeah.
Just like forgetting that this is, a risk at the end of the day, an investment at the end of the day, but also a great way to have some skin in the game and have some fun watching, on the couch on a Saturday afternoon. What has been your key to kind of remaining so positive? Because I think it's a huge asset and a huge differentiator for you in this crowded market. To where when I scroll
Yeah.
down your Twitter feed and I look at your card on Dub Club,
Yeah, I
like
mean, those are the
it
times you got to
feels
bring it.
good. I
Those are the
feel the
times you got to. I mean,
positivity.
that's the
How
time
do
when you got to
you
be at your
maintain
best.
that,
You know, when you're
even when
at
you're
your
in a
worst,
cold
almost you
stretch,
got to be at
even
your
when you have a
best,
heartbreaker
and
the
that's
night
when
before, day in day
you know
out,
that's
you're
when people
still
can
bringing
easily
the same
pile
great
on you.
energy?
And I don't know if it's just always I just never fed into any of the bullshit. Like I never really had any trolls. I mean, I've had some guys talk shit, but it's just been like I mean, I'll entertain that for a little bit, but I don't have time for that. I got, I have a beautiful wife. I got three awesome kids. My friends kick ass. I got this gambling career that's, sweet as shit. And I'm not gonna sit here and waste time going back and forth with some knucklehead that his name is like Phil, and then he's got 75 numbers after his name, just some slap dick from, whoever knows where, doing nothing else. And then he's sitting here and I got all this shit going great for me, and I'm giving him what? 90 seconds of my day. You know what? Sometimes I'll give them the 90 seconds because sometimes I got the 90 seconds. But, that brings, I don't know. I mean, I'm not like, somebody who's going to, lighting incense and getting crazy and, like worshiping crystals and stuff like that. But I mean, I believe in good energy, and I believe in, putting out, you get back what you put in. And, I'm not going to be an asshole out there because, I mean, somebody's like, some paying customer, but I'd be like, I'm not gonna fuck with this dude because he's an asshole. He treats this guy like shit, like And here he is. He goes 0-8 one day, and he's out here talking shit, like know your role. But I don't feed into the trolls. Sometimes I will because it's funny and it's entertaining, but I'm not gonna get too into it. I just try to stay as positive as possible, and that's positivity breeds positivity. Positivity is contagious, and negativity is just as easily as contagious. But the more you're positive, the easier it is to be positive, and that leads to bounces going your way, and Steph Curry missing a free throw when the over under is 116.5, and in the first half, and he's got two free throws at the end, and he hits the last one to go to push it to 117. Those are the kind of things that you got to do. Those are the things you got to try to that's the kind of like the little situation I put myself in. We're doing the right thing, so maybe Steph Curry misses that damn shot because I had the under.
I want to talk about your approach
Yeah,
multi-sport. We're
I'm good
getting
at it.
excited
I'm
for
good at
baseball
it.
season,
I'll
but one
never, I'll
more
never.
kind of observation about your persona, your presence on Twitter. You already
Sure.
mentioned it. You have the
I don't
best
gloss
gift
myself the
game,
best at
I think.
anything. I
In
mean, if you're good at something, people will tell you about it.
What's the
That's one
secret
thing I'll
sauce
always
there? Is
say.
this just a
But
reps thing? Like, how can I learn to gift
all right,
like
well, I
Uncle
appreciate that.
Fitz, or is this just
Well,
God
I mean,
given
I have a
talent?
hilarious picture. When I was in college, we had, I don't know, I mean, there's just around at some point, we started
Here I
collecting,
am.
well,
I'm
I
telling you,
started
you're not
collecting
good. You're
wigs,
great
and we
at the
had this
gift game.
one blonde wig that looked like, Patrick Swayze in that Saturday Night Live skit with the Chippendales with Chris Farley, and it was awesome. And I had that on one night with this bandana on, sunglasses, and that head was just, I mean, that's a funny head to throw on a GIF. And I mean, it's hilarious, it's celebratory, and it's attractive. So, what I try to do is I try to stick that head on some kind of dance or some kind of celebration, and it's something that'll catch the eye. And also I think that throughout my days of, having the aux cord in my hand, I think that my playlists are pretty sweet too. And I think that I come up with some pretty sweet jams to go along with those. So, that just adds value to, just following my page, being just a part of the squad, just I try to keep my dudes entertained. That's not the most important thing. The most important thing is a winning, of course, and making money. But being entertained, I would say is 1B. It's right there with it. Because if you ain't having fun, you ain't doing this shit right.
All right. You mentioned earlier you are a football player. We love hearing that, but you're also are pretty versatile, kind of across the board in terms of, your football capping, your basketball capping. It sounds like you're pretty excited for baseball season, as I think the rest of us are as well. Talk us through your process of choosing picking what sports you want to bet. Which one's your favorite? Which one's the easiest? Kind of just run us through where you are in terms of baseball, basketball, football, and what
All right, cool.
brings it
Yeah.
close to you.
Growing up, three sport athlete. Growing up, baseball, basketball, football. Came from a baseball family. My dad was a baseball coach. Brothers played baseball. I kind of went a different way and played football. Um, we all played basketball too growing up. Not didn't make too much dents in playing time or shit like that. I think my highest scoring game when I was like in sixth grade, was like 8 points or something like that. But it was a dominant 8 points. Like it was a physical 8 points. I mean, I'll give you that. But yeah, I mean, I want to get
Four
in there and give
fouls,
it.
8 points.
So I will say this: there was one time when I ended up having to start a game in sixth grade, and my coach goes out there. He's one of my best friend's dads at the time. Hey, go out there, just don't even jump. You're going out to jump. You're gonna go jump, but usually don't even jump. Just stand there. And so I just go out there, middle court. The guy gets ready. Ref comes up, throws the ball. And I just stand there, and away we go. So, but that's basketball. But you know, uh, football. If you don't catch football, I mean, football is a lot of fun. What I like to do about football is, obviously I like to go against the spread and pick totals. But I'll get into first quarter, first half totals, first half against the spreads, and those are fun to do because you can do like I like to do. I like to do the slate. So like I'll have a 1 o'clock slate, with some straight picks and a parlay, and then I'll do that again for the 4 o'clock straight, 4 o'clock slate, and some straight picks and a parlay, and then link that in with the night game, and then um, some if you, I mean, you can pick the first touchdown guys. I like to pick the first scoring play as a field goal, and try to do the research and try to find who's got those, who's going to put themselves in the right situations. Usually, it happens with teams that are in domes. Oddly enough, like I mean, people go down there and they'll go out there and get the 3 points right away, and those are plus 300, plus 400 sometimes. So NFL, I mean, you can you can find a way to have fun and get followers by betting that way in the NFL. Um, as far as basketball goes, I mean, basketball, there's a shitload of games. Baseball, there's a shitload of games too. So there's the trends and the stats are just, I mean, there's just everywhere. You can find any kind of information you want about recency, anything. I'm not going to go into all the different kinds of stats you guys can look up because I mean, if you're listening to this podcast and you guys are obviously have a capping company, so the different kinds of stats you guys can look up. But um, first half, first quarter stats and trends in the NBA are fun as hell to follow. But the tricky and the cool part about doing stuff like that is knowing when to ride and when to go against those stats and when to go against those trends. You know, um, but baseball, I do first five bets. Too many times I've had games going to the bullpen, and there's just you've had a total would be 9.5 runs, and it would be 3 runs going into the eighth inning. The bullpen comes in, and there's 6 runs in the last inning, 2 innings, and you're just like, well, there goes my under. So I like to bet on pitchers more than anything really in baseball, and pitchers and matchups. But then the stats and trends, and there's different stats for day games. There's different stats for night games. There's different stats for East Coast and the West Coast and travel, and there's all sorts of information you can have in baseball, and that's what makes baseball romantic is all the information you can have. And I think finding those 3-team first 5 parlays are very attractive. And there's nothing like, you guys will see. There's nothing like a Wednesday afternoon, especially for the guys that are getting through the day, sitting in the office, watching their computer screen with the little baseball coming out, shooting into the square, and seeing if it's a ball or strike, or if it's a hit, or if it's, watching the games like that. They got a 3-team parlay that's going to get them from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock in their day. And those hit. Those are some of my most fun days. That's why I'll always cap baseball. And then, baseball's a lot of fun.
Baseball is the best
Yeah.
for that. People forget
Oh.
Wednesday's a getaway day on the East Coast. You got a game starting at 12 Eastern, and then if there's a night game on the West Coast, it's like 10 o'clock first pitch on the East Coast.
Dude,
You got action all day long.
When I first started betting, I was on Bet Rivers, and they had pitch by pitch betting. You could bet if there was if the first pitch was going to be a strike, it was like anywhere plus 110, minus 130, ball about the same, but in play was like plus 700. So what I used to do is I used to sit around and wait for the pitchers to come up, and pitchers would lay down that bunt, and that would be in play. So those would be like plus 600. I'm like, boom, there's plus 600. Thank you. That's like easy plus 600. And then I had a lot of fun with those things. I had a quote unquote $1 million first pitch bet one day. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun with that one on Twitter. And it was a strike right down the middle. The guy didn't even get the bat off his shoulder, and everyone went crazy. Million pretend fake units, but it was a good time. But yeah, baseball. There's plenty of stuff to watch. Better on baseball, and plus baseball and the NBA for sure have the best. Ticket packages, or I love the NFL or the MLB league, or the whatever it is, the extra innings,
MLB,
and
the app.
the league pass for the
Yeah.
NBA. The league pass is fun as shit because in commercials they'll have the dance cam out there, and if you have because I obviously got a couple TVs up. You got to have a couple TVs, but I'll have the Cavs game will be muted right next to me like that, and then they'll just be a little kid just eating some cotton candy, and the camera will go to him, and he'll get up and just start jamming. That shit. That's the little things in life, guys. That I think. It's a cool thing to do, and that's more positivity in your night, and stuff like that. And that makes. All every sport fun. Some other cool things are too. I'll mess around. I'll hit some golf. I'll hit some golf fixes during the pandemic, man. You had to bet golf. You had to bet the UFC. That was one of the things that got my following count over 10,000 was when we first came back from the UFC. I remember studying that shit hard as hell. I hit that hard. And I was like, I got to come back with a card here because, I'm struggling too because, that's how I make my money right now. You know what I mean? And I came out, we hit a plus 4,800 parlay that first night. And it was I couldn't believe it because I was like, I don't know shit about the UFC. But all I did was trust my system, follow the stats and the trends, look for information to back that stuff up, and I was able to put together a good enough card, and that's there's those types of nights and those types of situations where you're doing things that other guys aren't doing that that boost your reputation and puts you in spots that you're able to maximize your potential more.
Yeah, no, I think the the way that you have to branch out. I think not a lot of us, considered what, the breakdown of the sports industry was in terms of how other people were affected during the pandemic. But, now you look at the fact that you jumped into UFC and a little bit of PGA, and that probably, again, said it boosted your following, just like, you were hoping, even though you weren't in sports you even really know that well.
Well, yeah, everyone was betting on something. Everyone had to bet because everyone was looking to bet on something, and there were guys that were like, "Nah, man, I'm not going to waste my time."
KBO was my favorite. Korean
Brooks
baseball.
Koepka.
KBO, yes.
Dude, I was hearing, oh my God, dude, if you weren't up at 5:30 a.m., well, you guys over there on the left coast were up a little bit later than that, but I remember getting my kids, getting up, seeing my wife off to work, and sitting there with my kids and watching. Betting, pitch by pitch in the KBO. There I was.
I love it. The KBO, I think we were all throwing that on as our late night TV for a couple of months there while it was going.
Oh man, it
wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. Some names. There's a couple MLBers out there. There's a couple big leaguers.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
All right, Fitzy, I got one last question for you.
Hell yeah.
So, as an amateur bettor, I look at March Madness and I'm like, it just piques my interest because all I see is plus numbers. I see all these big underdogs and I'm just hammering the underdogs. So today my betting strategy was, let's just bet on the 12s and bet on the 13s, sprinkle a little on the 14s, all money line. Tell me what I'm doing wrong.
Well,
today you're not doing so bad, Easy.
That's what I'm saying, Lou. During March Madness, everything changes. Everything goes crazy.
You really can't miss during March Madness. That's why I love seeing the guys that are just like, dude, I never, March Madness this, March Madness that, I'll come and kill it at March Madness. I mean, I was guilty of it a little bit. I mean, I think I tied like our first March Madness. We were like plus 68 units, hit like 23 parlays or something like that. But, I'm not going to mention that again. But, you can't, anything could happen. March Madness is all about matchups, all right? As a Kansas fan, I know that all too well because we've had some teams that are just like way better on paper, but you get out there and, there's a matchup difficulties and, it's so like in March Madness, what I try to do is I try to look at the matchups and, if there's, pace versus pace, if there's a difference in pace, that's going to be like, look at the way Indiana and St. Mary's having today. I mean, Indiana, they're a slow team. They, want to play defense. St. Mary's is another slow paced team, but Indiana playing, a bunch of games in a couple of days here. But the last kind of team they want to run into is a slow paced team that's going to make you play defense for 20 seconds every single possession. And, and you just got to hope that you get a stop. And if you don't get a stop, they get a bucket. And then, you just play defense for 20 seconds. Now you got to go down. Now you got to go down and try to match. And that ain't easy. They're getting, the last I checked, they were down by 30 when we started this podcast. Sweet Indiana plus 2.5 pick Fitz.
While we were going, St. Peter's destroyed Kentucky in overtime. So how about that?
Yeah.
For 85-79. Crazy. And that's one of those that I didn't even take. I didn't even take that one.
You got to sprinkle the 15s, Easy. Come on.
I didn't sprinkle the 15s.
Oh, my God. One of my boys is a huge Big Blue Nation guy. They're going to
distraught.
That's it. They got nothing until football season now because they don't even like baseball.
All right, Fitzy.
Oh, man. Ain't that the worst, though? When your team loses, the last thing you want is your team to lose on the first weekend of March Madness. Because
you live with that for the rest of the season. The off-season, I should say.
Oh, and then you got to watch everybody else's team play the next weekend. You're just like, damn it, I'm not doing this. But you watch anyways, because you gamble on it.
The nice thing about Stanford is they never even make the tourney anymore, so we don't have to be disappointed about an early exit.
Oh, Stanford. I'll never forget Stanford did Kansas dirty the year that we had Joel Embiid and Wiggins, and you guys had the Lopez brothers.
No, it was Dwight Powell. Brothers. It was Dwight Powell. I was the ball boy for the Stanford team during those years. I was the mopper. That was my last year.
You did. You kept that shit clean as shit. So that's
what I'm saying.
So that year, so all Kansas had to do was get out of that first weekend because Embiid was playing. He was, I mean, it was when he had the foot injury.
Mm-hmm.
He was going to play the next. He was going to play the next weekend. Stanford smacks him up in the second. It was in the second round. It was like a 2-10
It
matchup or
was. It
something
was
like
2-10.
that was it, man.
Yep. And then we got our asses handed
Yep,
to
that
us
was
the
it.
next
You were out
weekend
there.
against Dayton. Dayton beat us the next weekend as an 11 seed. I was devastated.
You weren't under the hoop cleaning up though. That's probably what it was. There.
Exactly.
That's the X
I was
factor.
the secret. I was the secret sauce. Yeah, that was the X factor.
What a job there! What a job there, man. That's great. That's awesome. That's great. I called games in the like little parochial league games, like 7th and 8th grade games when I was in high school. And I was a little announcer at those games, and it was a good time.
Love it.
Love it.
Love it.
All right, Fitzy, this was super fun chopping it up. Thanks, Fitz. Best time of the year, and love just chopping it up about your process and your approach, how you stay positive. The parlay first, king of the parlays, always fun, and I'm sure you're gonna cash some more tickets this March.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, boys. Some good questions out there. I appreciate the conversation. Being a handicapper that's on Twitter is all about being social, and it's all I just appreciate the opportunity you guys get, and hopefully, I delivered for the boys
Hell
out there.
yes, Ferda.
Yeah.
Always fun, Fitz.
Fitz, you were awesome. Yeah, thanks, Fitz. Appreciate it.
All right, cool, boys.